Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition, to another installment of Hashtag Fade to Black. Let me go ahead and get us into the right screen. Yes, here we go. Welcome. I am your host, Donnell Monte Morris, here with Anita Joe, aka Teach, here
Good
with
evening.
Beast Johnson. How y'all doing?
I'm doing all
Doing good.
right.
All right.
In the middle
So
of a snowstorm.
same here in Washington. How about over there in North Carolina, Beast?
Oh, wet. Just wet. The wrong kind of wet. Not happy, let's go swimming, just get in the pool wet. It's that cold, nasty, I don't want to do nothing wet. It's that why I got to go out wet. It's that kind of for pet owners, it's that, oh, you can go in the house today. I don't even care.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
I do.
today we're going to talk about cold cases, and mainly cold cases when it concerns Black people, and we're going to deep dive and talk about it, and also about a cold case here in Seattle. And this is the time where I'm offering people who's watching the show to also offer up your issues. And what I mean by issues, if you have a cold case that the police haven't investigated, or they did investigate and you didn't get no justice, we want to hear your stories today. We want to hear your stories on this show. But before we go and jump into that, we're going to do our opening statements. And for the past couple of days, I've been the one that started off. Teach, go ahead and take the lead.
Good evening, Nanga Deaf, Manga Free. Just a reminder, Nanga Deaf is hello, how are you? And you respond, Manga Free, I am fine. I want to talk about joy. Where can you find joy? Oftentimes we go through life looking for joys, hoping to have joy, meeting a person, hoping that they can bring joy into our lives. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you that joy is Munzi. Munzi is within yourself. So if you want joy, look within yourself and bring it out. You are a reflection of your inside. Your outside is a reflection of your inside. So if you begin to have joy on the inside of you, every situation you go into, you will find joy because you take it with you. So don't look outside of yourself for joy. Look inside. Look moonzy from within for your joy. And that's my opening statement.
Thank you, Teach. I wish I could have that same settlement about looking, your inside show what your outside is, but my insides right now, I've been feeding it too much. I'm still becoming the shape, and that's round. Um, my opening statement is I want to shout out to all the mothers out there for Black History, all the Black moms out there. So, Mom, if you're watching, look where your son is. He got his own show in the military, served for about going on 12, 13 years, and here he is. So, everybody, do me a favor. Go to your moms, give them a call, and tell them thank you. Tell them thank you for not only bringing you in this world, but raising you for you being the person that you are. Hell, even if you was not raised around your mom, the person that you called mom, give them a big hug. You know what? Right now, I want you to get off this show. If your mom is a near distance right now, go drive to her house, open that door, because she's gonna be the first one. Mom, she's the first one to answer the door. Give her a big hug. Give her a big hug, and you tell mama thank you. Now, Black History Month is, we supposed to go, we celebrate the pioneers back in the day that is making it easier for us today, for us to strive for the future, for the next generation. But then we forget about those ones that are around us that raised us to become the people that we are. And nobody deserved that much accolades and accomplishments than our moms. So call your mom. Let them know that you love them. Thank you. To all the Black mothers out there, keep doing your thing, including the single Black moms out there. Keep doing your thing. Keep raising your sons. Keep raising your daughters. Do what you got to do. I bow to you. Keep up the good work. And that's my opening statement. Take it away, Beast.
My opening statement, it will be embrace who you are by knowing who you are. And in the Black History Month for Black folk, this is a time of self-reflection and reminiscing and deep thought. We should take the time to do what Michael said and look at the man in the mirror. Really know who we are and what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do, what people love about us, what people don't love about us. Know who you are. Know what you don't like about yourself. Know what the world does, know how the world views you. Because once you truly know who you are and all these things, it's easy for you to maneuver through the world. You know how to, quote unquote, play the part when necessary. So you know what to say and what to do because you already know how you're viewed. You know how your responses would be interpreted. So you know how to control the narrative in the situation, no matter how unsavory or lively the situation might be. But that only comes from, back to before, knowing who you are and embracing it. Because once you embrace it, all those things that you thought you didn't like about yourself, those will actually be the motivating and interesting facts that bring people into your life. New people. People that see you for who you truly are, the good and the bad, and see how that quote unquote bad side of you can be used for good. And how that good side doesn't always come off good, can end up doing things badly. So, to end my statement, I'll go back to the beginning. Embrace it. Look at the man in the mirror. As long as he don't talk back to you, everything's cool. That's my opening statement. Let's start the show.
Before we get started with the show, we got to introduce our sponsor. Y'all know what it is. For the first half of the show, it's sponsored by Cheddar Boy Popcorn. The owner right now, he's watching the show, Mr. Jones. Let me continue. Oh, there it go. On the bottom is the website, realcheddarboypopcorn.com. Check out 12 different flavors. If you locally, like myself, in the area, he got the Hold Dog, he got the What Up Dog, the Chill Dog, which I haven't tried yet. He also got 2 new flavors. He got the lemon cake and he got the wet cake. Haven't had the wet cake yet. He also
working on a very special one too. He ain't told nobody about this, but he working on a very special item called the franchise. So one hell of a dish.
So if you want some good, tasty popcorn, the only Black-owned popcorn here in all through Washington, hit them up, realcheddarboypopcorn.com. There you go, sending everyone popcorn.
I'm looking in the mailbox.
So now,
if I come on the show with scars on my face or on my arms, it's because my dog tried to get some popcorn and I had to fight him.
Hey, don't worry. I got the popcorn bag over here right now. Don't make me go ahead and jump on it. But to the topic. So I'm going to start off with this. So a story that I was told by mom here in Washington about her son going to Chop City. Now, anybody who's in this area or familiar with Chop City when Capitol Hill was being taken over during the BLM protests, they took over all of Capitol Hill. They took over the police precinct over here, and they renamed it Chop City. So the story goes that I'm not gonna mention this woman's name, but the mom of this kid was going over there to film a video, a rap video. He mysteriously gets killed. Now, when something happens like that, you will have the police notify that parent. But she was never notified. She was notified through a friend. Now, I could be paraphrasing the story, but I put you like this. The police didn't inform her that her son tragically lost his life. She found out through a friend, where she had to give the police a call. Like, is this true? I'm hearing that my son got killed. And it was like, yes, but it's a pending investigation. So my issue is this. What do you think? Why, when it comes to Black people, when it comes to their cases, that is set on, pending, or when investigation is done, justice is not served? So I know it's a two-part question. So let's go ahead and stick on to the why does these cases be pending? What do you think? Floor is open.
My answer answers both segments. I will continue to say it until my dying breath, and my children will continue to say it after me. The police department is structured and founded on principles that were built against us as Black people. If don't nobody know history, before they were police, they were slave catchers. The same symbol for the Fraternal Order of Police is the same symbol they use to identify themselves as slave catchers. And once emancipation broke through, it's still not illegal to fuck with niggas, but it's illegal to treat them like slaves. So now we got to switch it up. So now it's like, well, we'll turn you into police. You protect and serve the white community, and you can still do what you've been doing when it comes to niggas. And then over time, you just had to be more subtle, more slow, more lackadaisical in your process of being a police officer with respect to us. Because the system was always set up against us. It was set up to ensnare us and to catch us. So why should we think 400 years later that just because it's got a new name, it ain't the same thing? Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't go to the police. Honestly, we should only deal with them to just acknowledge it. But to actually seek justice from the police, no, I feel like that's a feeble and trivial waste of time and energy that could be better spent trying to solve it yourself or grieving and moving on.
What about you, Teach?
I agree with Mr. Johnson in that this is the fabric that was woven as America. And America has to create a new fabric that is woven with diversity.
Yes.
When America was formed, it was formed for the purposes of sovereignty, supremacy, and it did not include the other peoples of the world. So it is no wonder, as our ancestors transmitted their DNA to us, that gives us our frame of thinking, that gives us our core beliefs. So their ancestors also transmitted those same qualities unto their descendants. So what was true 400 years ago is true today. In South Carolina, there's an oak tree that's thousands of years old, and that oak tree has stories to tell.
Excuse me.
Can you imagine how many generations of people have seen that same tree? And it's in the same spot, and its roots continue to grow stronger, and its branches continue to grow wider. But just consider 1,000 years, how many races of people, how many languages that oak tree may have heard, knowing that this was the land of the Native American and the various languages that they spoke as they may have been around that tree. Then the European settlers came with all of their multiple languages. See, we have a tunnel vision. We speak English because in the Revolutionary War, we fought against the British, unleashed ourselves from colonialism, and we continued to speak English. So that means that all of the Dutch settlers, all of the French settlers, all of the Portuguese settlers that was here in the nation at that time, they had to convert and learn English. So as there was multiple Native American languages spoken around that tree, multiple European languages spoken to that tree, and then whoa, the slave trade, and now we have multiple African languages spoken around that tree. Can you imagine the story that one tree can tell? And if that tree could speak today and tell us a story of 400 years ago or 300 years ago, we would be in awe because we would think it was speaking of today.
See, for me, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. I'm taking the position of the mother. You know, it's a sickening feeling when you have to hear that one of your kids passed. Well, I won't say passed away, but death in general. I mean, in the military, when a service member, when he gets dies in battle or passes away for any reason, the toughest detail that anybody can do is to dress up and dress blues and go and knock on that parent's door and tell them that their kid is not coming home. So for this mother to not even find out from the police, that's insulting to me. I mean, I understand, you know, that it's systemic racism that is in play. I get that. But at least, you know, tell me, you serve and protect, Mr. and Mrs. Serve and protect. I'd rather hear it from you rather than hearing it from a friend or hearing it through gossip that I just lost my child, a child that I brought into this world, a child that I saw them say their first words, my child that took their first steps, my child when they went off into kindergarten, I couldn't hold back tears. My child, you know, who I saw growing up and going through the changes of puberty and all that stuff. And Now I had to find out through the grapevine that he or she is dead. And you couldn't even tell me. And now that you know, you're just going to sit your happy ass on this case. And then you're going to have the audacity to sit there and say, well, we got all these other cases and cops, we go through a lot. We're regular people too. And that pisses me off. It pisses me off. It's like, if we want to talk about gatekeepers, to me, right there is a freaking example of a gatekeeper, where the gatekeeper is going to make it about themselves and stop them from actually getting the justice that they want, that they need, or at least
that they deserve, that they're justly, rightly deserving of as a human being.
And I believe
Can I ask this question?
Yeah, go ahead,
in this case, the friend that told the mother, were they at the scene of the crime, or how did they get the information?
And
transmit it to the mother.
I believe that was probably that they were there. They probably seen it for themselves, and probably knew that was that mother's son, and she called her. Maybe not on that exact and present time when it was happening, because when you see something that look familiar to you, you're not going to jump on it. Like, let's say, for example, Teach, if I seen let's say if I saw your son over here, I'm not going to sit there and jump and be like, oh, I saw your son, and it could be somebody else, because he could have been over your house at the whole entire time. I want to make sure. So she probably went over there, he or she, whoever that her friend was, probably went over there to make sure that, oh my goodness, that is her son. And then called. But even with that,
even hearing that, I still ask the question: if this is secondhand information, meaning you were basically a on the scene witness, firsthand account, so you were there to some degree, and the boy died, and you bring this information back to his mom. Now, once you confirmed it, whether or not, why weren't the police involved? Like,
right, and
the situation went down. Like, hey, I come to you, teacher, say, hey, something just went down around the way at the local spot. I saw what appeared to be your son. I could be wrong, but when I looked up, it looked like your boy. He was up there. I heard some shots. I didn't see him after that. I'm hoping he got out, but I called the police on my end, or at least let you know, hey, police were called. And then from there, to me, that sounds more logical. It's like you come as a friend coming to. It's like, if you coming to me, telling me, my child gone, and the police ain't involved, why wouldn't the police call? And you tell me this is a video shoot for a music video, like, why wouldn't the police call? There was either you telling me this is some outright bullshit, or something else went down that you fear might jeopardize your legal freedom if you divulge it. So you're trying to figure out a way to inform, why not disclose everything?
But
so
also, yeah, go ahead.
What you just said really brings up a lot of questions for me. If this was a scene where something went down, a friend is on the scene, they're part of the set or whatever have you, and it goes down, and I don't know, 10 seconds fly by, and they call the mother, say the police have not arrived on the scene yet, or maybe they didn't call the police. So at that point, I would ask, how can you blame the police if people are leaking information before the police even gets to the scene?
As so
In that
the
case, it's unfair to the police. Now, if it's a situation where the police had been on the scene, 4 hours had passed by, and so forth and so
See,
on, or a
at
day or
least
a
30
week had
minutes.
passed by, and the police had not informed the family, because I believe it's code to inform the family before they release it to the news. They can't speak a
Within the
person's
first
name. They can
48.
say,
right.
right.
I believe that,
So
and and what I was told. This is what I was told. So it seemed like she didn't know. I think even on that day that she was. I don't think she was told like instantly after when she got the information. I believe that it was probably what you said, like over 4, 5, maybe even 8 hours that she found out. So there was enough time that she could have gotten informed by the police. So
That's the biggest question.
but you don't know if that
Were
person,
the police informed before she was, no matter
Yeah.
the time frame? Because that helps us understand moving forward. If she was informed before the cops, like T said, that's actually unfair to the cops.
right. And
No,
then
if she has to inform them.
also, people with their cameras, like they captured George Floyd live. A lot of people saw him die if they were
They had like
tuning
4
in.
different angles.
Yeah. So a lot of people saw him die. We witnessed it before, they contacted his next of kin. So we have to know all of the information, or more of the information, because what you presented has big loopholes in it for me.
All right. So okay, so let's go ahead in the scenario that she found out the next day. Then what would you say?
Well, I would have to know, did the individual have identification on him, or was he a John Doe? If he's a John Doe, if he's a John Doe, they have to go through whatever they need to do, fingerprints, whatever, to identify who he is.
That's a process.
Yeah.
That's a process. And how long that process takes, how big or how small that city or town is, may make a difference. If he have a criminal background or no. If he have a criminal background, yeah, they got his fingerprints. Yeah, that's so and so. If he don't have a criminal background, never been fingerprinted, then they have to go to the next level. So again, it's not enough information. But if it's a situation where they've had him sitting in the morgue for a week, and they knew who he was, they knew how to contact his family, then I can see, yes, we can charge them with negligence.
But also, you got to think, obviously, I guarantee he had a wallet and had ID on him. So you
at least had a phone. Yeah. He at least had a phone on him. We won't say ID, we won't say wallet. We can safely assume and presume with competent intelligence, he had a phone on him.
Yeah.
And
that's a good possibility.
Yeah.
Everybody has, and everybody's phones are linked to their social media apps, and everybody nowadays has an auto sign in. So as long as the phone is not locked, I could just click on your Facebook and it'll immediately pop up your page, your name. Click on your picture. There's a person's name. And even if it was locked, take it right up there to the tech folk. They have a department that does it. So like I go back to my question. When were the police actually notified versus when she was notified? Because if she was notified first, like T says, that's a handicap for the cops. But if the cops were notified first, then it doesn't matter the amount of time that lapsed. They were in the wrong. They were negligent for their actions. Could have been a couple hours, could have been 8 hours, could have been 8 days, could have been 8 months. If they were informed and knew about it from the moment it happened or moments after it happened versus her finding out first moments after it happened, that is the defining question to ask in all of this. Because every question after that truly boils down to that question. Who found out first? The cops or her? The cops found out, that everything after that is on them. Y'all fucked up. But if not, then it's like Matt T says, we got to start asking a lot more questions about the scenario. What was actually going on, not just with him, but at that area at that time. Because there might have been some shit going on around him that unfortunately he paid the price for.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if he was doing a video shoot and he was on somebody
Exactly.
else's turf, didn't have permission to be there. And, you know, he's doing a video shoot and they, you know, they're doing their business and you capturing us on film.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. We just don't know enough information in this particular case to give a judgment on.
Okay.
It's too many persuading questions that would lead to too much reasonable doubt. So like I said, I just go back to the main question: who found out first? Because once we figure that out, everything else is a lot easier for us to process and solve for all the people involved. Because she's going to need the grief. She's going to need, but that mental understanding behind everything is really going to help because she's already grieving and mourning for the loss of her child. But she don't need that added psychological grief of hatred in her heart for the cops if they're not at the wrong.
Right, because usually in these cases, if they have a person, they would ask the next of kin to come and identify the body.
Mm-hmm.
So
if the next of kin is not already there.
Right.
Or
they would ask the next of kin.
Positively identified.
Right. So if the police, we don't know how the boy, young man got killed, but he just not gonna sit in the morgue forever for no reason. Somebody would ask to come identify the body so they can do whatever they need to do with the remains.
Right.
So I go back with what B said. We need to know did the police even know at the time the mother became informed? Because I know that the police force has its shortcomings, but we can't. They have their shortcomings. They have their shortcomings, but at the same time, if they weren't going to call the mother, what were they going to do?
So basically,
they have to dispose of the remains.
So basically, what I'm not saying the main issue, but the one that y'all pinpointing is how long did the police knew about it?
Time of discovery.
The time of discovery, and when did they finally told the mother? So that's the one that y'all mainly pinpointing at, basically. Okay.
Because everything, because like Say said, it's just hearing and even reading the police report, there will still be multiple questions that even you just reading it and they would. I'll give an example and a little personal truth, and it's very sad. But when my mother died, I actually discovered the body. I had to inform and call and make all those plans. So I actually had to call the police, call the EMT, because originally I didn't believe she was dead. But I had to call them later for them to actually confirm that she had already passed. Wait for the police to arrive, ask me all the questions that will come with that type of situation, contact the coroner for them to pick up the body. Now, going back to what T says when talking about the level of urgency, at that particular moment in my city on that day, at the moment my mother died, there were already 3 other current bodies in the city, and all the cars were all the pickup trucks were in transit. So they had to wait there with my mother's body for another 3.5 hours before they were able to pick her up because they had no vans available. And still go through all that process only to knowing that they confirmed on the scene aneurysm, natural causes. The autopsy confirmed the same thing. But I still have people to this day, 5-6 years later, that actually believe with certainty that I killed my mother and have vocalized it and verbalized it amongst the community. But yet the police have not been informed.
I'm sorry for your loss. Same thing happened to me with my first husband. I discovered him. And you called the police. No, I called the emergency, and they came and sat. They said they could not come into the house until the police came and cleared the house. And so hours passed by, and you know, hours passed by, and you're just sitting and sitting and sitting until they go through their process of removing the body. But they have to clear to make sure it's not a crime scene. And so that's why the EMT are not even allowed in there until the police go in and clear.
Well, hold on, because it just made me think about something. Only because the way I stated to him that I didn't believe she was dead at first, that they were there first. But once but they still called the cops, and the cops still got there, and the cops still had to do their separate mini investigation on the scene and still have a confer with them. And then they stayed there for 2 hours with them, and the cops had to stay with me the entire time until the coroner came to pick up the body.
Oh, wow. And then even though I learned something too, even though at the time that we first did all the calling, when you get the birth certificate, is like time of death. It's like 8 hours later. And why is that? Because they take the body to the morgue, and the examiner is the one that pronounces them dead on arrival, even though they may have been dead 7 or 8 hours.
They told me my mother
it's a process. It's a process.
So let's go ahead and let's flip it. So let's go to the cases that are being investigated or are currently pending. Why does it take so long for us, or let's say that the case, took this course and no justice has been served, other than just systemic? Yeah, go ahead, Beast.
Systemic. Well, you like to say, other than systemic racism, preconceived ignorance and stereotypes, and unfortunate trappings of one's life. Because no matter your situation, clean or dirty, there's slow justice for Black folk. So we need to go ahead and knock out that. See, exactly. No matter your level of success and status in America, if you got any bit of Negro blood or feature to you, your justice will be slow to none. You must admit that in the now. I don't care how much money you got, bro. I don't care how cool you are with the white folk. When the shit hit the fan, that money ain't gonna help you, but so much.
Right. But to not try to cut you off, Beast. So let me go ahead and just put this at we're not mainly talking about what we were just talking about first. We're talking about cases in general. We see it on TV, with the police brutality, and then you still got other cases like, I forgot one that Roland Martin covered they was trying to cover up, and I didn't see exactly. I'm talking about those type of cases as well.
Well, that's one reason. That's one of the reasons why most of these cold cases are either individuals involved got some clout and favor to them, or question so you can't really question them, so it just kind of falls to the side, or there's too many questions and the answer, and those that have the answers fear that they'll do some time even though they're not involved. Back the whole scenario with the boy being shot out. It's plenty of the easiest charge for a black person to catch is accessory to the crime after the fact. Meaning I could be over here selling dope in North Carolina the whole time and I could be moving it in code throughout the podcast amongst the viewers. And neither one of y'all know anything about it. But I finally get caught up and they figure out that I've been coding messaging with at least one of the viewers. So now they'll try to hit y'all with accessory after the fact. And they're dicks enough to actually make it stick just because you know me and they have credible proof of our interactions with each other. So they can spin it in their favor that you knew enough of what I was doing. And either you turned a blind eye and did not, and pretty much perjured yourself in the eyes of the law, or you were complicit to a certain degree. And this is how they get motherfuckers. So black people have this type of mentality. If I'm out here actually doing some dirt, and I see a crime or I know some information that could help solve this crime, but the only way I can give the information is by, in so many words, incriminating myself to give that credibility and confirmation, I'm not going to go to jail over some other nigga and then he might not even go. Like that's something we as black. Just the last thing, if I'm out here hustling to feed my kids and I see a triple homicide, I'm not trying to catch no weed charge over giving y'all information and then y'all don't even do y'all job, or he got a way better lawyer and he ride. Now I'm sitting here doing 3 years for bullshit weed charge and he done got off on triple homicide, and I try to do the right thing. So no, I'm not talking.
Teach you got anything yet?
Yeah, we can look at the Breonna Taylor case. That's a case that did not get proper justice. And even the last that I heard, that the AG, which I can't remember his name,
Cameron, Cameron. I knew his first name.
Right. They are looking to remove him from his post because the way he handled the investigation, the instructions that was given to the jury, and then he does not want to turn over the transcripts. So I believe, it was total BS when the jurors came forth and said, our instructions did not even include the option to convict or indict the specific officers. So he's being brought up under investigation up to and including, losing his position as the attorney general. So that reeks. And he was the black man. He was the face of the system. He was the face of the system.
That shows you back to what I was saying about us being slow to, no matter our status. That's a prime example, because not only was she was an officer, y'all broke into the home of one of your own while they were asleep and shot them. That was one of your own. That was your people's. Blue Lives Matter, right? Well, y'all killed one of your own and y'all did nothing about it. And then thought you could still play the old game of, pretty much police ineptitude and inefficiency and ineffectiveness and get an acquittal, and you could use all your legal jargon, and we'll get a black dude out there to really make it stick. And they got Coonhead over here.
There you go.
And
right
thought it was
there.
going to work. But
I think
he
his
ain't
face
had
like
the
this
conviction
perfect.
to make it work. Coonhead.
Yes,
Just look at that. Look at that shine. He shines his head so white people can see their reflection in it.
Going back to what Teach said, you're correct, Teach. He's actually going through an impeachment process on his own too.
Good.
But the thing is, he's not the only one that's that has done that. So when
He's not.
Yeah, he's not the first one, and majority of the people is not even his skin color. So and I think that he was like the very first black AG ever in the state of Kentucky to be elected, by the way, too. So that right there says a lot. But
Lost your time.
But see, that's when people sell their souls to the devil. It's like, ooh, I finally got here, and I'm just gonna err with wherever they tell me, wherever they tell me my position is, and I'm not gonna see color. I'm gonna be colorblind, and I'm just gonna do what they tell me because, hey, I'm black, I'm intelligent, and I have a white wife, and I got a good pension. So I'm going to structure this investigation the way they tell me because life is good.
was
There
he
was no justice in his movement.
was he proposing to his wife when all of the details was coming in? He was supposed to get all the details of the case, and he was just doing his engagement. And I was like, whoa, like, come on, AG. You know, and he was posting all on his social media.
Once I heard the first rhetoric of him, and I heard no passion and conviction about what he's doing, I already knew what the game was. Like T said, you're a puppet. You feel like you made it. Time to play the game the way they want me to. Time for me to be a pawn because I feel like now I'm on the board and I can make it across and I could be a bishop or a knight or a rook. I can get next to the queen and the king. No. You a pawn. You a pawn and you lost to the black side.
Mm-hmm. And when he stopped bringing that money in, his wife's going to be gone.
She don't take that for him.
Not only just that, he loses his position. So, but
yeah.
But other than that, what is the final words that you would say to any parent that is going through a cold case right now or didn't get the justice that they deserve? And I'm talking about Breonna Taylor's parents. I'm talking about Mike Brown's parents. How long ago? What? That's going on 10 years now, 11 years now.
Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice.
Tamir Rice.
Emmett Till. The countless ones that came before him.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Bell, like we could just keep all of us could just literally just keep randomly naming
and George
black
Floyd
names off for an hour.
What do you say for all of them? To their parents, that not only just the families of the people that we just mentioned, but for anybody around the world right now. Well, mainly the United States.
Know that true justice is not found or delivered by man, but by God. Understand that your pain will subside. It will never leave, but it will subside over time. You will live. You will live on for them. You will live on because they didn't get the chance to. But know that those involved will not live a happy life. And no matter how much feigned happiness they show or appear to have, their end will be miserable. It will be uncomfortable. It will be worse than any pain you are feeling or your child felt at that moment. It will happen.
Go ahead. On you, Teach.
As a mother, I'm trying to find words. Sometimes many words are useless.
Right.
At times, words have no meaning. And I'm trying to think of a few words that might have a meaning, that might be useful. I can't imagine, I've never lost a child, pray that my son and daughter will bury me. I will never bury a child. I would I would tell them to look within and to keep their energy within themselves and not allow this negative situation to transfer its energy onto them. I would ask them to put up a shield to protect their good energy. Because there's people out there like Dylan Roof, and the list can go on and on and on, that creates negative energy by slaughtering innocent individuals. I would ask them to keep their energy and not relieve them of their deed. I would ask them to make them accountable, to keep them accountable and understand what accountability is.
Why did that teach? I think y'all kind of
to answer to Kerry, to Keith, when you're talking about the woman that lied on Emmett, it did eat her up until it caused her death, which is why she finally made it public to the world that she lied. Oh, these bloody decades.
She wanted forgiveness. She wanted to be forgiven.
She didn't want forgiveness from the public. She wanted to make an act of redemption for her soul.
Yeah.
When you get to that age, and when folk get up there, they know when their time is coming. Some of them know a couple years ahead of time, especially if they've been ill. They know I ain't got but X amount of years or X amount of time left. And they start getting right with the folk. Like my great aunt is an example of that, because I say a good 3 years before she finally passed, she started making a habit of calling more and actually getting right with all the kids and all her nieces. And she made a point to apologize to me for things she said, because she wasn't the greatest critic of my father. They never got along, so she didn't have a whole lot of nice things to say after he died. But she apologized for that because I was young. But that was an example, like, she knew what was going on. So This was like, all right, before I go, this is my last Hail Mary. I pray to God this get me into heaven.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. They want their conscience cleared.
There you go.
They want to appear as an angel when they have been a devil all along. And that's what forgiveness does. Forgiveness clears their mind and make them feel that they can stand in the grace of God.
But that's what Christianity teaches, though. That's like the epitome of Christianity, that you could be a complete, utter bastard your entire living life, and moments before you go, get right with God and accept Jesus. And you're in the heaven. That's why people ask the question, what would you do if you got to heaven and you saw Hitler? Because we all know Hitler committed suicide before he died. So who's to say he ain't do that? Who's to say Hitler didn't get right with God and now he's in heaven? Because Christianity teaches us that if you believe in your heart, does it say how long? So all we need is
that
a good
just gave me a
second.
new thought.
Doesn't say how long we need to believe. Teach, you see where I'm going with it though.
Mm-hmm.
It just says I got to accept in my heart and believe that Jesus is my one true Savior. Never said the amount of time I need to do it. So that means I could do it right. That's the loopholes that white folk teach you. And if you actually read your Bible and pay attention to the world, you'll start seeing why we keep saying the Bible is full of bullshit. The Bible is not a historical text. It is a summary of events through oral tradition.
And that right there is going to be a topic for another show, because you just gave me a thought too for a different show. But for me, because we
see, I don't need no pulpit to preach that word.
We're two. Well, now we are a minute from the top of the hour. It's going to be a short show, and then I'm gonna have them do their segments. My thought for everybody who is going through a cold case, the parents that are going through a cold case, what I can say is stay strong, be very active in your community. Don't just let something like this go by. And what I mean by active, I'm not talking about just going out and, in the streets protesting. I mean actually doing something, creating organizations. I think
Connect.
I think Mike Brown, one of the
Mike Brown mama getting politics, and Trayvon mama.
Yeah, and Trayvon, they ran for offices, and I believe that they won. I think they lost the first time around, but then they won. And
both of them won eventually.
Yeah, and then they won. So stay active, get into politics. Don't sit here and just think that protesting is going to work. It's great that you create organizations within the community, but for that organization to actually be effective in that community, you got to put people in positions. You just can't sit on the sidelines and just be loud and yell and expect something to be done. What's that old saying go? If I can't find somebody else to get it done, I'm gonna do it myself. Like James Brown said. Yeah, like what James Brown said. I don't want nobody to get me nothing. Just open up the door. I get it myself. And that's that's my biggest thing that I can say to each and every one of y'all that is going through this right now. We already know that the cards and the deck is stacked against us, but nobody's telling us, with the cards that we have been dealt with, and work it out and work with it. I mean, you may be working. I'm sorry, I'm a Texas Hold'em person. You may be working with a deuce of spade and a three of hearts. It does not mean that you lost when the freaking hands haven't even been dealt yet.
It just means you got to hustle them things.
Right. You got to hustle.
Some of us got to hustle harder. And even when you got a straight flush,
you gotta know how to play.
You still got to hustle, because you can't fuck it up. So you can only use it at the right time.
So you got to play the hands that you dealt, but wait until your cards is dealt.
How can he say? You got to know when to hold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away,
know when to run. And with that, this is the top of the hour, and we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to get on to the segments. Beast, your segment will be first. But before we do that, we got to introduce the second half of this show of our other sponsor. Beast, go ahead and let them know about Sky Zone Society.
Well, as I sit here and indulge in my medicinal delights, I sit here and I think about how fragrant my home could smell every time I look at my PlayStation. The reason why is because Sky Zone Society has this wonderful new candle called PS5 Secured. Now, why I don't have a PS5 at this personal moment, I would love for my home to smell like it. I don't even know what that shit's supposed to smell like, but I want to know. What other venture, entrepreneur, or retail store has a candle called PS5 Secure? You can't get that from Yankee Candle. You can only get it from Sky Zone. And look at this lovely apparel. Just custom. Now, what you see right here is what is called the base form. So you customize, you got your nice little size. And to all you artists out there looking for vendors, looking for potential pushers of your merch, here those guys on. He also offers detail work as well. He'll help you with your design. So if you're looking for anything, damn near everything, or just want to wet your whistle, check out Sky Zone Society. I guarantee you would be pleasantly surprised.
Yes, sir. So, Beast, you will be up, and we will be right back once I get the right commercial.
Welcome. Since we're on the somber topic of cold cases, I'd like to talk about a little part of community involvement that people tend to forget about. That was one of the divine principles of the Black Panther Party, and that was community protection. Whatever issues actually arose in the community only arose amongst individuals within the community, and it was usually solved by those within. Meaning, if we're having a block party and one of the neighbors get a little too drunk and loud, It's a couple of the neighborhood dads that simmer him down and knock him out one good time and let him sleep it off. Necessarily didn't have to call the police there unless it got physical and somebody got injured. But try to make sure it didn't get to that point. And when talking about these cold cases and all the extenuating circumstances involved, it behooves me not to ask the hood and those individuals that rep it so vigorously, what the fuck are y'all doing? I understand not wanting to go to police because you don't want to put a light on what the fuck you doing. Respect. Don't mean your ass can't go out here and handle the situation yourself. Especially if you know who's involved. Now, as opposed to calling the police and telling them about this woman beater, you know where that nigga hang at, you go pull up. And you have a nice, respectful conversation with him and inform him of his transgressions and of his options. Or you inform his mother while pulling a quote unquote hit out on all known associates and all veritable ne'er-do-wells that are willing to just knock a nigga out for shits and giggles. That's how we used to handle shit. You know, if somebody got shot around some fucked up shit, drug deal, niggas out here on some illegal tip, okay, it's tragic. But if it involves illegal activities, then illegal means will be the form of man-made justice to avoid getting the police involved. So if you're not willing to do that, then just go talk to the police. They really ain't worried about what the fuck you doing anyway. They worried about what the hell happened. If you wasn't involved in it, you ain't got shit to worry about. If you was involved in it, that's a different story. You better be worried about the community. But nonetheless, some of us have lost this principle in theory and practice, and we see the results therein. So it's not snitching if you go to the cops. It's snitching if you was one of the motherfuckers doing it and you went to the cops so they wouldn't arrest you. Then you was a snitch ass nigga. It's snitching if they offer you some time less than everybody else and you take it. Snitches got paperwork and they're on everyone's paperwork. You're not a snitch if you informing them of an actual tragedy. You're doing your fucking due diligence, because Lord forbid your ass get shot. Your soul, your conscious thought that has left the astral plane and left this mortal coil, one of your last thoughts would be, I hope I get justice. And I don't think you want to look up from heaven or down from hell, or either way, and see your body still there, or see the same process you yourself on earth watch individuals that you could have helped. But now your dead body is doing the same thing that you allow somebody else to do. So think about that. Really be mindful. This world is crazy, so you can't assume ain't nothing gonna happen to you. It could happen the same, it could happen less, or it could happen worse. But something gonna happen to you. And you're going to want some mercy and some help and some redemption when that shit happens. So to ensure it, you might want to make sure you give it. There's a reason why God gave us two hands. In order to get some help when you extend it out, you got to be willing to throw the other hand out to get it. It's the only way you can make sure. It's that simple. Let's bring this back to the community here, people. And make the community great again.
Yamala, hello, how are you? Tonight, I want to talk about your roots, where you come from. I want to offer you the opportunity to go on a discovery of self. And for that, I have posted various DNA suppliers that you can give a gift to yourself and your family by getting your DNA test done. And the reason why I suggest that is for the complete, thorough discovery of yourself. When you do your DNA tests, they will do DNA matches all around the world. You'll find out that you may have European blood, you may have West African blood, South African blood, you may have Malaysian, you may have Arabic in your DNA. But the only way for you to truly know this is to actually get the test done. And once you get the test done, then you can reach out to various communities that you may come from and get history of your family in that area. Oftentimes we talk about reparations, and you may have heard me say that I want my African reparations. I want the land that belonged at one time to my people. And if you understand anything about African land distribution, every race of people in Africa were given land by their creator. And every ethnic group in Africa has a creation story. So you may have heard that the land belongs to us, and it does. But you have to know which particular clan that you belong to within the land, and certain geographical regions once belonged to our people. For me, I want the diamond mines, the gold fields, the bauxite, and the coltan, the oil, because it belonged to my people. But how can I lay a claim on that land or those resources if I have no direct tie or connection? Getting your DNA test is one way to get that connection. And some people, after they get their DNA test and they find out which ethnic group they belong to, they reach out to that group, and usually they have a formal ceremony to welcome that person back to Africa, back to the land of their foremothers and forefathers. Usually there is a naming ceremony that goes along with it, and other gifts. Some countries actually give land back to those who have traced their roots back to Africa. So see, this is the first step of self-discovery. You will discover things that you absolutely just do not know, and it is wonderful. I often talk about self-identification. How can you self-identify if in fact you don't know who you are? You don't know where you came from. You don't know what makes up your heritage. So I strongly encourage each and every one of you at time at your leisure for your birthday, for your husband's birthday, or wife's birthday, or child's birthday, or your mother, father's birthday, auntie, or uncle, to go ahead and get your DNA test done. When I had my test done, it was quite phenomenal because 2 years prior, it was laid on my heart to write a short story. And I wrote a short story about 3 countries that I visited. Some of you may know I go by the moniker of the African princess. And I told the story of how the African princess went into the Congo looking for her ancestors, but she couldn't find them there. And she went into Angola looking for her ancestors and didn't find them there. But then finally, she went to Cameroon, and not only did she find her ancestors, that community embraced her. And so that was a short story that I had written. And then actually, I lived it in terms of travel. In 2012, I actually went to the Congo, I went to Angola, and I went to Cameroon. And my son and daughter, they decided for my birthday that they would give me the gift of the DNA test. And I took the DNA test, and it turned out that my largest share of my DNA belonged to the Congo, Angola, and Cameroon. So that was one wonderful benefit of doing that test. But it was prophetic in that I wrote the story about those Central African countries, not having any idea that I belonged to those countries because we're told West Africa. They keep hammering into our minds West Africa, and they leave out Central Africa. But now studies are being shown that the greater portion of the slave trade did in fact take place in Central Africa. And then the second thing that was uncovered through the DNA test, I have a cousin that was exactly 4 years younger than me, and she was separated from her father, which is my mother's cousin. And she had been separated from her father for like 42 years because they moved out of state, and he's now deceased. And she had did her DNA, and another cousin did their DNA, and they looked at my DNA and they said, wow, this person is very closely related to you. And so she contacted me, and I said, blah, I'm not interested in looking at any relatives from the United States. That was a weird frame of mind I was in at the time. And so she wrote me a second time. And this time, this letter had so much energy to it. It made me look at it. I'm like, well, okay, let me look into what this person has to say. And so I gave her my telephone number, told her to call me. And we talked for 3 solid days, catching up on each other, learning. We had parallel lives. We had experienced so many things, and our passions are the same. And we were just so much alike, having never met one another. And our career paths were going down the same path. And it was like she was a mirror reflection of me. I was a mirror reflection of her. And we just hit it off. And it wasn't until the 3rd day, I'm like, wait a minute, how are you related to me? And then we put the connection together that she is the daughter of my mother's first cousin, which makes us second cousins once removed or something like that. So anyway, DNA could be good just to discover yourself, to discover lost family members that's right here in the United States. It's a great way to reunite family. And so, Darnell, if you could pull up the other websites. I believe there were 4 of them. All right, find your African roots. This must be African ancestry. Okay. All right. That shows the prices that you can get for your ancestry kit. I believe, I can't see, but I believe this one is African ancestry. All right.
Yes, it is. She's just the African ancestry.
Okay. Can you just show the list? I was, I think the list to be simpler for people to just see the list with the websites and approximate prices. The prices may have changed different times. They have a special or different seasons, they may drop the price down. So the price may be lower or maybe higher than what I have posted. Okay. All right. I guess. Oh. I guess you don't know how to make it the full page.
Yeah,
you have to make it. Yeah. Okay. So if you could, I believe it is 23andme.com. That is the service that I went through, and I believe there is AfricanAncestry.com, and then is it Heritage? Because I can't see it. Heritage. Heritage. I can't see it, but anyway, maybe we will post it in the group.
Yeah, we will post. I meant to interrupt you, but yeah, we will post it in the group, ladies and gentlemen. So the ones that she's saying, because I'm obviously it's right in front of me. She already said the 23andme.com. That was for $99. Then the AfricanAncestry.com, that's for $29.99. Then we got the one right here that she was talking about was myheritage.com/DNA. That's for $59. And then the last one is for ancestry.com/DNA, and that's for $99. But this will be posted in the group.
And in doing so, you can find that even some famous people that may have resonated with you, find out their relative, they're a living cousin or a distant cousin. So go back to your roots, Sankofa. Go back and pick up the gems of the past, because we are our ancestors. And our ancestors are us. And as we procreate, we become the ancestors, and our descendants take on our DNA. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have an opportunity to discover yourself, discover your family, discover your traits, discover why you have the wide nose, discover why you have the bright teeth, discover why you have that swag. It's all in your DNA. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this segment of African Travels. Go back and discover your roots.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank. Let me fix this real quick. Let me fix this real quick again. Like to thank Teach for and also Beast for doing their segments. Beast will be back in a little bit. But Mail, you came late.
No,
You
I know, man.
had to close out the show.
I know.
I just want to get your final point on closed cases, so you can dive in just a little bit before we head on out. So, what do you think about cold cases when it comes to Black folks, where you got cases that are either pending or cases that already went through the system and no justice is served?
I
Floor is
mean,
yours.
either way, it's terrible. I mean, when those things happen, it's terrible. I mean, it's just you don't want to ever think that, especially when it comes to something that costs somebody a life, where they're not here no more. You want to see something where the story has been told. Everybody wants to tell their stories to be told. That's why we do everything we do. I mean, one is survival. Number two is, maybe perhaps being able to have a family or something that puts us into more than one. That multiplies us. But the most of the reason why everybody do, everybody wants some kind of attention at some point to be able to tell their story. So nobody wants their story to end abruptly. And if it does end up abruptly, no, everybody wants to be able to make sure that there's justice. Where at the end of the day, they feel like if something is taken from them, the ultimate price, ultimate gift is taken from them, that it is resolved. And resolved is meaning that people know what happened. The loved ones knows what happened, and that's just the side of the victim who might not even be here no more. It's a bigger when you think about the people that they left behind. Anytime I think about my family members, I can never think about anything happening to me and how much that will devastate them. And that to go into the ancestry, like Sister Anita was talking about, so many lives that have never been closed in this bloody nation. It's a history. And if the government should, all those $99, I'm saying, should be paid by the government, at least when it comes to African Americans, because that's just the first step of reparations. I've always felt like, and I don't mind if anybody take my thing and take it to Congress and use it as theirs, but I've always felt like reparations in America will be free education all the way to postgraduate education, as well as free travel, round trip travel somewhere that another continent that somebody has never been before. Preferably Africa. If they can let people go back to the land, where their ancestors are from, just to get a chance to see their place for a week, it would change someone's lifestyle. I'm sure, Sister Anita will attest to this. Even several times, being born here by African, quote unquote, African parents, and being there for so many years, like about 12 years. And when I came back here for another 12 or 15, the first or second time I flew back as an adult, it feels, I feel the goosebumps when the plane landed. So, and I can never explain that to somebody, just the feeling of going back to that land, even though I knew some of that as a child. I knew a little bit of the land because I was taken there when I was younger. So it's just, I believe that those things, in that you can never close the pain by those two things I've said, which is education and a free voucher to travel. I mean, room, board, everything for a week. But the next best thing is if we can find how to close the case in the sense of who did what and what happened to each one of those people. That would really be an ultimate than for descendants of the enslaved. So, but I think that's how that would be my opinion on that. I hope I'm landing on the right space in the sense of what we've been discussing at the beginning of the show. And I apologize. One of my sockets went off, and so I've been in the basement trying to fix whatever is going on electric wise. While the light in the room that I record from went off. So. But that's why I was late today, so apologies. But that's what's going on.
Don't worry. So we don't have time for the final thought because this was supposed to. This is a quick show. So final points from everybody, starting with Teach.
I opened up with joy, and I'm going to end with peace. You have to find peace within your own heart, within your own mind, within your own soul. It's commonly said that life isn't fair. And sometimes we are given vinegar, we're given sauerkraut, we're given lemons, but it's up to us to put some sugar in that lemon and make some lemonade, lemon meringue pie, some lemon Kool-Aid, some lemon popsicles, some lemon ice cream. Add some corned beef to that sauerkraut and make a Reuben.
Mhm.
And add some apples to that vinegar and drink it down and help burn that belly fat. In other words, wherever we are, whatever is handed to you in life, which death is a part of life, we have to find that peace within us. It's not going to be on the outside of you. It's something that you sit down and create for yourself. So, peace out, everyone.
Beast, 5 point.
Final point. Don't be scared to do the right thing. There's ways to go about doing it. If you want justice, you can either go about the way of man or go about the way of those before us. But don't just stand idly by and allow tragedy to go. Because Lord forbid the tragedy happens to you. Like I stated earlier, you're either gonna be looking up or looking down, wishing you got some kind of treatment of mercy or kindness, not the treatment that you allow another poor soul to receive because you stood by.
All right. Mayo.
Yes, just final point. I would say, my brother, turns 42 today. My older brother turns 42 today. He's in the military as well, in Virginia. So I would like to wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday. What branch?
Absolutely. Army. Yeah, he's in the Army.
Oh.
Yeah. So, he's an officer out there. I don't know which rank, but he's an officer over there. And
He's on the dark side.
yeah.
Some of ACOs work for a living.
Yeah, I spent last weekend with him, so we got a chance to hang out. But I on that note, I say that we gotta celebrate life. There's so much that we run around for every day. So many things going on. At the end of the day, we one of the folks who are chosen to see this planet. And I mean chosen not by an individual, but by the Creator. So, and when we hear. You wake up every day and you get a chance to breathe some fresh breath in, enjoy. This week I've not done this before, but for the first time this week I've been able to go to and I know Sister Anita knows where Sharon Woods Park is at in Columbus. So it's like 4-mile track that I walk every day this week. I've done in 25, 24, 19 degree and just watching kids and their family go out on a little slide. They're sliding on the snow with a little thing. I mean, that's I don't see too many people that look like us, but I said I want to get on one of those as an adult, But I mean, while I'm walking on there, because it's just you gotta celebrate life, And we're doing it in daytime, and it's just myself and a friend of mine, so. It's just being able to breathe in that cold. I mean, we bundled up like 10 times over, So I mean, but just being able to, and we watch other folks walk, folks who are like in the 70s, you can tell, different ages, whatever. Like we're probably the only black folks who are there, but still, but still, it's just, and I think that we should be more of us really that we saw, because it's just I can't explain the feeling. And of course, the reason why is not too many people there is during the daytime. And thank God I'm fortunate enough to have a job where I own my own business. I could make my own schedule. Where in daytime I'm walking around for 2 hours. So, but I mean, but what the peace that it brings to your soul, that fresh breath of air is almost like like all you got right there within all those trees and woods is oxygen. and clear air coming at you, and you walking and walking and you breathing and breathing. So it's nothing like that. And I'm telling you,
I love you. I love you, but I gotta get my 5 point in too.
Oh no.
I'll get my 5 point in.
So that's it. It's to live life.
It's just the little things. My 5 point is I would like to thank our sponsors, Sky Zone Society, and then also I'd like to thank Cheddar Boy Popcorn, as I'm a flash in the background right here. So I'd like to thank both those sponsors for sponsoring both halves of the show. Thank you so very, very much. Like to thank my panel, Cheech, Beast, and Mayo. And also for our other panelists, Seep Away. We root for you, dog. Bring home the gold. Bring home the gold, and we wish you nothing but the best. We
know how to swim. We know how to swim. So we can do better than them in everything.
Yeah.
Well, you see that the U.S. Olympic swimmer, well, I don't know what his name. He was on the Capitol. He got 6 indictments, so I don't think he'll be going to the Olympics.
Which one is that?
I don't know. He on the U.S.
team. He's going to jail, and see we're going to break all his records. But other than that, it's time for us to head out.
We got a brother that went back to Africa and is representing Africa. Yes.
Right. So bring home the gold.
That's like the nigga from the hood to get into the Ivy Leagues. You got to show love.
Yeah, that's true. So we're about to head on out. I will put those links on the point. I think, Cheech, you got access to the site to actually tell you the truth on the page. So if you have issues putting it up, just let me know. But on that, on behalf of Beast Johnson, Mayo, and Anita Job, aka Cheech, and me as your host, Donnell Monte Morse, thank you. We will be back on Monday, and I know the ice storm has hit the East Coast. Also, the snow had hit us, or some people are dealing with rain. Please stay safe out there. Stay safe, and we will see y'all back on Monday. And don't forget to give y'all ladies some flowers, some candy. I know some of y'all can't go out because it's COVID, but it's her day, okay? It's her day.
And nothing else. Just cash app her some money. Look, cash app her some money. They just say straight up, cash app for wings and nails.
I'm gonna leave on that because my girl will probably watch it. She gonna kill me. That y'all have.
He did say at the beginning of the show he wanted some scratches on him. Okay, I get it.
All right, I'm going to leave. Y'all gonna keep me in trouble. Like I said, on behalf of all the panelists, thank y'all for watching the show, and we will be back on Monday. Catch y'all later, and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to those who participate.
There you go. That's true. Happy Valentine's Day. There you go.
Catch y'all later.
Yes.